Memory of Chaos 3.5 version is here, and we're going to clear it together. So we'll start by taking a look at the buffs, we'll take a look at the bosses, and then we'll pick some teams, and I will demo clearing Memory of Chaos. So let's start at the top. We're looking at Pillar of Genesis. This is floor 12. The buff says, after an allied character uses a skill to attack or a memo sprite attacks, add 1 hit per action to Memory Turbulence up to 10 hits. At the start of every cycle, each hit from Memory Turbulence deals true damage to a random enemy target 1 time. So this is not a great buff, even by Memory of Chaos standards. Usually they're not that great in Memory of Chaos, particularly because you only get them at the end of a cycle. And hopefully if you're playing well, you're not going to see too many cycles. So this one in particular feels weak because it caps at 10 hits. And like at most you might pick off like a really weak enemy, but I was finding it not very helpful. So I wouldn't necessarily build your team around it, but it is a very easy target to hit because most teams are going to have some kind of skill attack or memo sprite attack happening. So just play what you want. I wouldn't worry too much about the buff on this one. Looking at the bosses, we've got Gepard and Lygus, aka, spoiler warning, Xandar. With the first half, it's not really about Gepard, though. It is about these big stingray things that we saw last time in other modes. If you recall, they hit quite hard because they can both make you debuff you to take more damage, throw a dot on you, and then they also have some action advance so that if you don't kill them or break them quickly, you're just going to get overwhelmed by waves and waves of AoE attacks. So they do hit pretty hard. This Memory Chaos in general hits pretty hard damage wise, so survival might be a little tricky, but it is definitely doable. So yeah, the stingrays are kind of the big enemy here. Gepard is just kind of here. I know they put his face on the thing, but he's just kind of here. So these stingrays tend to favor dot because they actually put like a dot on themselves, and if you have Kafka, you can add like extra detonations and stuff. But another team that might work is Acheron, who if you use Acheron, as you know, her ultimate is based on building stacks, and you build a stack by adding a debuff. It applies to your team, but also if the enemies add debuffs, then it will also build stacks for Acheron. So you can actually build stacks pretty quick when fighting these guys. So that's another interesting choice for this one. Otherwise, if you've got anybody that's physical fire or lightning, that'll help because breaking will also help you survive a bit. And of course, as always, all of our endgame modes always favor AoE. Killing the little stingray guys is also going to help you stay alive because then they don't get to action advance and take their extra turns. And also, killing them does extra damage to the other enemies. So if you can AoE them down, you never want to target them if you're a single target because they're just going to keep coming back. But if you got AoE and you can kind of incidentally take them out, then that is another good part of your strategy. So in the second half, we have Lygus, aka, spoiler alert, the first genius Xandar. And this is another side that hits hard. Even in the first wave, we've got this the big ape guy. I've always hated him. And the Sanctus Medicus guy who heals himself if you don't kill his buddies, which is always a classic annoying fight in this game. And then you've got Lygus himself on the second half, who does some pretty big burst damage. So like he has 2 different modes that he switches between, and when he switches out of one of his modes, he hits you with a big bomb basically, and it hits really hard. So another one where survival can be a little tough. I personally like Finon in this fight, and I know a lot of people have him. Part of it being the survival aspect, where if Finon's on the field by himself, he's tough enough that he can usually take that hit, and you don't have to worry about your team getting nuked. But Yeah, he's a tough fight, and this is another one where AoE is favored because, well, it's debatable. The the more you can kill his waves of enemies that he pops up, the faster you can make him change modes, and the faster you make him change modes, he actually gets weaker, or I should say he takes more damage every time he changes modes, so it can help you start working his life bars down faster. At the end of the day, though, you just punch him as hard as you can. That's the strategy. But once again, AoE helps a lot. If you don't have Finon, there's probably a lot of teams you could play. You could play the Herda, particularly with Tribbie, because Tribbie can help break the small guys because they're all quantum weak. There's a lot of teams you could play. Yeah, I'm tempted to kind of try like a Blade or Jingliu with Hyacine team, but or even Saber. Anybody that's going to be able to break him would be helpful. You could play Casterus, even though it's against type, but Casterus is so strong she often does not care about what element type the boss is. So I think you have probably more options on the second side that are good than on the first side. So let's pick some teams. I personally think your best options are going to be Kafka Hysolins on the first half, the dot team, and Finon in the second half. But I'm going to save that for my Zero Cycle clear, which I will post later on my channel, maybe tomorrow or the day after this goes out. So stay tuned for that. But I wanted to do something for a little more different, lower tier, let's say, for these videos. And I'm going to do Acheron in the first half, and then I'm going to do Saber on the second half. So let's start with the first half. I'm going to play the classic E2 Acheron team, which is going to be Acheron, Jiaoqiu, Sparkle, and Aventurine. So I would probably these days normally play Saber and not Saber, Sunday instead of Sparkle, but I'm gonna want Sunday for the Saber team because she wants the energy. So I'm gonna go old school and play Sparkle there. You could also play either Cypher or Silverwolf in the Jiaoqiu spot, and probably get very similar results. Now I do have E2 Acheron, but these days it seems to be popular to play a Harmony in your second support slot anyway and just give up the extra ultimate damage. I'm not totally sold on that idea, but it's probably not as bad as people used to make it out to be. I think having Jiaoqiu on the team helps a little bit to compensate for that, because the two Nihility characters is basically an ultimate damage buff, and Jiaoqiu can compensate because he also provides an ultimate damage buff, even though it's not as strong. So that's the team I'm going to roll with. So I've got E2 Acheron, E2 S1. I've got E0 S1 Jiaoqiu. I've got E0 Sparkle with I think the Yukong Light Cone, and I've got E0 S1 Aventurine which his S1 is very nice with Acheron because that will make it so all his follow-up attacks will debuff. But of course, the popular thing, if you don't have his Light Cone, you can play the Trend of Universal Market. I think that's the 4-star one with Topaz on it. That's the one to play to just keep getting your debuffs with Aventurine. So I do have the E2 Acheron, but not like a huge investment. Even if you had E0 Acheron, you would probably not going to make like a huge difference in this day and age on that one. So for the second half, like I said, we're going to play Saber. So this actually is going to be a pretty strong Saber team. I've got Saber. I only have her E0 S1, but I do have some investment in my supports, which I always recommend you do. I've got E1 Tribbie with Dance 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 S5. I've got E1 S1 Sunday, and I've got an E0 Huohuo, and I just have her with the Natasha Light Cone that gives you the energy regen, because we're mostly looking at her for energy. I do think it might end up being a little bit of a challenge staying alive with just Huohuo as our sustain, because she's not like the best sustain in terms of she doesn't have any emergency heal options like Lingsha or even Natasha has an emergency heal. A lot of characters have emergency heal, and she does not. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully nobody dies, and I get embarrassed in my own demo, but we'll see. Okay, so let's get to the action. We're going to start with Acheron. So this is a pretty easy team to play. Just always buff Acheron and pretty much always use your Sparkle ult ahead of time. Sparkle is not really here for the action advance. She's here a little bit for the action advance, and definitely not for the skill points. We don't need the skill points. She's mostly here to just to buff Acheron. So yeah, and the action advance. She's here for the action advance. I'm not going to say that. It's not as tight as if you were running Sunday, though, because, of course, Sparkle is not 100% action advance. She's only 50%. And I don't have her speed tuned or anything with Acheron, who's normally just plays slow anyway. So we're going to get some awkward turns where Acheron's like coming right after Sparkle. I'm not going to mess around with getting that all sorted. Okay. I'm actually gonna, since I have extra skill points and Aventurine's basic doesn't do a whole lot for me, I'm gonna skill occasionally when I can if people are kind of within when their shields may be down to like 10-15% of their life bar, because they will hit hard. But Aventurine is nice in this fight because it's a lot of AoE attacks, and that means he's gonna get 5 stacks every time. There's one example. And every 7 stacks, of course, we get a follow-up, and that means another stack for Acheron. And you'll see how fast we build her bar. It's pretty nice. If only she did more damage. Yep, there's another one. Yeah, so only advancing Acheron 1 turn is not that big a deal. Now this guy taunts, which is annoying, so I can't use my skill on the Stingray, which I would have preferred. It kind of leaves a dead space. But yeah, I've already got Acheron's ult back. I almost feel like my Acheron should be doing more damage, but I checked my build and everything is like pretty okay. I think that's just the, dare I say, power creep for you. I think it's Acheron's light cone that makes it so she gets a stack when her turn starts. And then her skill gives you 2. So you get stacks 3, basically, stacks on her turn, which is nice. Okay, I've got 6 skill points and nothing to do with them, so I'm just going to keep skilling. Yep. That was an example of the enemy debuffing, I believe, there. Gave us another extra stack. Ooh, we are so close. It's not going to be enough, though. I wanted to get it before the turn change. I wonder if I'd have to go back and watch if there was anything I could have done to actually get that. But that would have had us going in with, I think, only a 1 turn passed, which would have been nice. Alright, I'm going to try to kill without using my ultimate. Like Acheron's skill should probably... Oh, the dot. Okay. Alright, now we want to use Acheron's skill, because right there, that was actually a wasted stack. You can see the 3 under Acheron's name. She can only go up to 3 extra stacks, unlike, say, Fei Xiao or some other characters. I guess Casterus doesn't have any extra. I'm thinking of the ones that have, like, special ultimates. Casterus, you can't go over 100% at all. Saridra's ability, you can go over 6 stacks, right? You can go up to 8. So there are other similar abilities. Okay, so that one I used the skill to break the shield first before I did my ultimate. To make sure I actually got the damage on the Stingray. Yeah, so the way the Stingrays work, not to get too detailed into it, basically, when they're in their like special mode, when I forget if it's they do damage or you take or they take damage, every instance kind of speeds them up so that eventually it'll just action advance them. So you want to try to break them or kill the little guys before they start just murdering you. Again, where the AoE comes in handy. It helps that they dot themselves. So they actually will take a little bit of damage at the beginning of their turn, and sometimes that finishes them off. Oh, I just realized I've been sitting on the Sparkle ultimate. Again, we don't care about skill points in this fight. We're going to have so many, so sometimes you might time Sparkle's ult so that you don't waste skill points. But it's really more important here just to keep the buff up, because it does give a pretty significant team buff as well. Alright, we're just going to keep hacking away. I'm going to switch over to hitting Japard. You know what? Kind of want to finish them off. Alright, now I'm going to switch over to Japard and kind of kill the Stingray in, like, AoE. Or it can just dot itself to death, I guess. Okay. That probably wasn't necessary. So I am playing a little sloppy, as I tend to do when I am trying to talk and think and play at the same time. It's very possible we could have found some way to get this in 3 cycles, but it looks like we're going to pretty comfortably get it in 4. Yeah, because after this Acheron ult, Japard's gonna be pretty low, but we're out of time. I think if I had switched over to focusing damage on him instead of finishing off the Stingray, yeah, see, I only needed 1 more turn. Okay, so a very comfortable 4 turns. Possibly could have been 3 if I played a little better, which is, that's average, right? It gets the job done. It's not impressive, but it's not bad either. Pretty solid. So let's go over to Saber now. By pure coincidence, I'm playing 2 characters that are focused on ultimate damage. And Saber, of course, actually requires energy, and requires quite a bit of it. We're not going to have quite as many skill points on this one. I have Sunday's S1, which helps a lot with that. And Sunday in general helps with your skill points. I don't particularly need the healing from Huohuo right now, but I'm going to use it to basically build energy. And we've got a lot of Saber's kind of weird... Okay, I'm not going to use Sunday's ult here, because Saber's real tricky, because sometimes it's hard to gauge when her bars fall, but if just in explaining how she works, that little gray area above her energy, when that fills up, then it will action advance her automatically. So if I use my skill, that's going to give me enough energy to get the gray area filled in, and then Saber should get an extra turn, which will then automatically get her ult. So we'll do that, and then we will use Sunday's ult so that we actually gain the energy from it. And her next ult should be a lot stronger because we'll have the Tribbie buff and the Sunday buffs up. But in this case, I think it was better to just get the ultimate off, because you can see we're already like halfway there to getting her ult again. Okay, and I've got 2 skill points. I think that's... You know what? I'm going to save it, because I can get my ult with a basic. And again, Huohuo is also going to give you energy. Get Saber a little bit closer. I don't know if that's enough to advance her. Maybe it is. Oh, that was close. Okay, so... Of course, after she does her ultimate, she does her enhanced basic, which is like the worst thing ever. I hate it so much. If she didn't have to do this enhanced basic, she could probably like infinite loop her ultimate. Maybe that's why they put it in there, but I do not find it useful at all. Nevertheless, we actually gained enough energy to fill the gray part in, which was enough to advance her and get her ult again. And you can see we did a lot more damage now because we have all our buffs up. Yeah, we can advance her to the enhanced basic again. I'm realizing this just became a Saber tutorial, so I apologize if you don't care about playing Saber, but that's part of the demo here. Okay, now we're going to want to heal, because it will not take long for Sunday to die with that much. Okay, this time I think I am going to use Sunday's ult. It's a close call. This is why Saber's hard to play sometimes. Okay, so and then I'm going to use Tribbie's to make sure her field stays. Okay, so I think I misjudged it a little bit, because now this is just going to go straight to her ult. I probably could have got an extra turn out of that. We had an ultimate waiting for Lygus, though. Okay, so the way with Lygus, I think it's like when you kill enemies, or when he, okay, in this mode when he adds enemies to the field, it makes his counter go up, and then he'll change modes. Okay, and then he'll also hit you with, right now if you see there's a little red circle by Tribbie's ultimate. So if any character has that, so it's a double-edged sword, because he'll actually give you all the energy for the ultimate, but if you use it, you will take a big chunk of damage, which I'm going to use it, but it can be a little dangerous. I wanted to make sure I reset Tribbie's ultimate before I ultimate again, so that I'm both building energy for Tribbie and she gets the follow-up attack off. Okay, and make sure you always watch your skill points and make sure Tribbie can use her skill, because that's a huge amount of your damage. Okay, so I think generally I just go for it with these ultimates. I'm probably gonna regret that. Did a lot of damage though. Okay, well it looks like Huohuo's gonna go anyway, so that will allow us to heal. I'm gonna prioritize, of course, healing Saber Another problem with Huohuo is you only heals 3 people at once. Okay, so in this mode, now this is where it switches over to, as you kill guys, it'll get him closer to switching modes. Unfortunately, at the end of this one is the one where he will drop a big nuke on you when he switches. But switching will make him take more damage over time. Ooh, we're getting a little dicey with Huohuo's health there. Alright. She is abundance though, so oh, you know what? I didn't want to use Sunday's ult because we were already going to advance Saber and she was already going to get her her ultimate. So again, I wasted what I probably could have got an extra attack out of that. Alright, here's the big bomb. Did not enjoy that. But we're in pretty good shape. Huohuo someday will get to heal herself, I'm sure. Oh. I gotta do my enhanced basic first. Okay, so I think that will advance Saber, right? Alright, so this time I'm not going to mess it up. I'm going to have... Oh, see, it advanced her, but not past Sunday. Ugh. So I still don't get my extra turn anyway. Alright. Well, I'm still going to do it that way so that I can get the full benefit, the full energy from Sunday's ult. Alright. Looks like Huohuo's finally going to get a chance to heal herself. Okay, well, let's use our ult, and then use Sunday's ult. Almost 2 million, that's pretty nice. And that makes it so we can go straight to another ult, actually, because this will be enough to action advance Saber. When it works, it's beautiful. When it works, it's beautiful. And there you go. Nuked him off the face of the earth. Alright, so we did 6 cycles total, so it was 4 in the first half, and Saber managed 2 against Lygus, which is great. 2 is really solid. And, you know, that is Memory of Chaos. Like I said, there's a lot of heavy hitters in this one, so stay safe out there, play your sustains if you have to. And, you know, let me know how you did with Memory of Chaos. If you're having trouble, post a comment. Maybe I can try and help you out. And we'll catch you next time.